We want to welcome you to the AIA Maryland's 2018 Design Awards. We are your jury for this year, and it's been an honor to be associated with that and to be able to review your projects. I'm Jim Williams, the National Director of Design at Little in Charlotte.
Philip Jefferson, Program Director for Architecture Technology at Wake Tech Community College in Raleigh, North Carolina.
I'm Erin Sterling Lewis, and owner and principal of a small architecture firm in Raleigh, North Carolina called In Situ Studio.
I'm Michael Williams at Liquid Design here in Charlotte.
I'm Sarah Melanson with Clark Nixon in Asheville, North Carolina.
We all looked at every single entrant on our own and scored those according to the guidelines that were provided by AIA Maryland. So we were looking at them from the standpoint of just design excellence, the impact that they were having on architecture and the surrounding context. And then in sustainable amenities and how the project was elevated in a certain way to have a positive impact on the environment and beyond. And then lastly, it's community impact and how it really impacted the people that these projects were serving as well. And once we looked at all of that, then we all came together here in Charlotte and we shared our individual thoughts and ideas about those projects that really rose to the top.
And one thing I really loved about the process was because we all come from different backgrounds in our practices, we had a lot to offer, I think, each other in the conversation. So I may have come to the table with opinions about what I thought should receive what awards, but after hearing from everybody, many times our minds were changed, and I thought that was really valuable. So in a sense, I learned a lot from you guys and certainly from the projects that we evaluated.
There were a lot of different perspectives to the approaches, and I think that in many cases, each of our minds were changed in some regard.
I think we all really found the awards program rewarding in the fact that you highlight student work. I think that's somewhat unique, and we don't always see that in state awards programs. And so that was really enjoyable to look at those projects and to imagine those students actually entering into the profession and making an impact. And we looked at the projects in groups. We looked at the community colleges as a whole. We looked at the other colleges and universities, also the undergraduates also. And the community college work was really inspiring to me. The depth at which they looked at each of their projects, the way they studied them, researched them, the amount of work that was there.
I have to say I expected to see from the student work a focus on everything digital and technical. It was really refreshing to see the value in handmade models and the craft in that, and the sketches and the iterations and these little thumbnails of possibilities.
Learning the different techniques in hand drawing and rendering and color rendering and black and white the drawing communication. I think that's really important in our industry as a profession, and I think as a student learning this, they really showed a wide range of skill.
You know, as you look at the student work, and sometimes there's certain expectations that you have or whatever, and I think when I looked at these projects, those expectations kind of went away for me. I saw them as an opportunity to just look again at the exploration, the way that we think about architecture, again from that academic approach. And again, as I mentioned before, that stuck with me. It was rewarding.
I think the most compelling part of looking at the student work was being able to see their process.
Yeah.
The process was so inspiring, and we don't get to see that in the professional work as much. People don't give us that part of their project.
With the professional entries, what I loved about that is the diversity. Maryland is a rich history, but it's also a progressive area, and to be able to see how you've been responding to, again, that rich past and building upon that and looking towards the future was pretty exciting with some of the work I saw. One of the things that I at least looked at when I was evaluating the professional projects was going beyond remarkable architecture and the impact that these projects were having on the people that they were designing for.
Yeah, even if it's a corporation, employee retention is for the community, serving the community. There's this movement in architecture where it's not just a building anymore, it's about the people that it serves. And we really saw that in a lot of our projects.
There was an underlying theme in a lot of the institutional projects regarding collaboration. I think that's a big trend at the moment.
The school projects.
School projects, institutional projects, the acknowledgement of all these shared spaces having benefit to all of the occupants of the building, and interdisciplinary approaches to research, study, workspace.
You really saw architects and designers being very creative with the use of materials, which is really refreshing as we continue our process as designers.
And a lot of the projects also had a really specific narrative, a story. There was a storytelling to the work. I think that in the method of describing the work, that becomes a really important process to learn and share communication. So I think the storytelling was really interesting in that as a type of trend in the work that we saw.
So I found the public building of the year idea really interesting and fascinating, quite frankly. A project that definitely has a civic purpose. First of all, it has to be built in Maryland, has a civic purpose, is for a government entity or a nonprofit, and it really serves the public. So we had a list of about 15 or so projects that we were looking at to see how well those projects really met that criteria.
I think it was the hardest decision we had to make
I think you're
over
right.
the course of 2 days.
Yeah.
I know I've never evaluated projects with that criteria before, or for that title, and that was really nice. I kind of want to take that home to our state and ask us to do the same thing, because I think it's a very important award, and you had some good points about that and the power of what it means to award a building and a client and a user with that.
Yeah, I think it's really important, especially since your state chapter, one of their roles is advocacy. And so looking at the work in a totally different way as perhaps maybe we do in our local components in different levels or different ways. It is about engaging the public. It is about our civic duty, our architecture for the civic duty in our environment. So the architecture becomes a venue for that in a way. And I think that was part of our discussion in this process.
Yeah, I think these are the types of projects that should be celebrated in their own category, as you guys have done in Maryland, because it does increase the value of what architects can bring to the table. It's key. It was a very inspiring topic, even though it was really hard to evaluate.
I just want to commend you all for the level of design excellence and the manner in which you put many of these submittals together. It was a very rewarding experience for me.
I really enjoyed just the range of projects. The residential, they were all very different. The commercial, they were all very different. And they were all over the place too. Right. What I mean by that is regions, there were different regions and they served people differently. It was really exciting just to experience that thought process visually and then talking about it amongst ourselves.
It's great to see the differences in juries. I've had an opportunity to sit on a number of juries, and I'd say this is probably one of my most enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of the selection of the jurors and also because of the selection of the work. They provided a conversation.